Hi everyone, my name is James Yardley and I bartend at the Speakeasy Room underneath the Gin Mill. Every Monday night you can find me downstairs. We serve a menu of signature cocktails and we have live music. It's a lot of fun. If you've never been, check it out. Every Monday night, 81st in Amsterdam on the Upper West Side of Manhattan at the Gin Mill. So you may have seen the first video where I talked about kind of like a basic bartender kit. Next up, I want to talk about the books that I recommend, books that have helped me quite a bit in my bartending career, and books that I think that would make great gifts, to be honest, for bartenders, for enthusiasts, for anyone who just has even a little bit of interest in craft cocktails. So let's just jump right into it. I already have it in my hand. This is The Joy of Mixology by Gary Regan. This was the very first cocktail book that I ever purchased, and I can't recommend it highly enough. I'm just going to kind of read through the contents of this real quick, just so you can get an idea of what's inside, and then I'll talk a little bit about why I think it's such an awesome book. So the first chapter is called The History of Cocktails and Mixed Drinks. Kind of a nerdy section, but some really good information about kind of the arch of cocktails, how we started, where we went astray, and kind of where we are today. Second chapter is called The Bartender. Do you have what it takes? If you're not a bartender, you might find this really entertaining to get inside the mind of a bartender. There's stories, there's all sorts of anecdotes. It's actually a pretty good read. If you're not, even if you're not a bartender, if you are a bartender, you'll really enjoy this. The Theory of Mixology is the third chapter. The Craft of the Mixologist, Foundations of the Bar, Garnishes, Mixers, Supplemental Ingredients. Tools and Vessels, we covered that a little bit in the previous chapter. It talks about glassware, and then there's a bunch of recipes. There's a bunch of classic recipes, recipes that you may never heard of. So this is The Joy of Mixology by Gary Regan. Awesome book. It's kind of, if I could only have one cocktail book, it's hard to choose one, but I think this would be it. It's a classic. Pick it up. You can find it on Amazon and all those other places. Yeah, check this one out for sure. Next book I want to talk about is Jim Meehan's Meehan's Bartender Manual. I was fortunate enough to meet Jim Meehan at a USBG bartender event, and this is just another awesome book. It's really detail oriented. I would say that this book, it's great for a non-bartender, but if you're buying this for a bartender, or you are a bartender yourself, and you haven't checked this out, you have to. This book is so cool. I love the illustrations in this book. It's so well laid out. It's so well written. I find that a lot of cocktail books, when they're getting into like recipes and technique and all that kind of stuff, it's a little bit more instructional. This is just this just keeps my attention a little bit more. Another section of this book that I really like is the one where he talks about bar design and bar layout. I am a bit of a nerd with all that kind of stuff, and so it's really fun to kind of take a look under the curtain, or and just see how other bars have chosen to design their space. So that's a lot of fun to read about in this book. There's a service on hospitality, which you don't find much in bartender or cocktail books, recipe books. You will find that in here, and I think that that's an awesome read for the non-bartenders. When you have people over, just a few tips and tricks about hospitality, it can go a really long way. So this is the Meehan's Bartender Manual. Great book. Highly recommend this one. Third up, so this is not a bartender book, but it has been very helpful to me in creating signature drinks of my own. And this book was recommended to me by David Roth. At the time I met him, he's working at Covina. I think he still works at Covina. But this is an awesome book. It gives you ideas on flavor profiles and flavor pairings that you might want to include in a drink. So, for example, at the Speakeasy Room, we serve a drink called the Blind Tiger, and I got the idea for that drink from this very book. I was reading the page on pomegranate, and pomegranate pairs very nicely with port wine and tea. And so I was looking around my apartment. I saw a bottle of port wine on the shelf over there, and then I was kind of looking around, and I was looking at all the teas over there on my stove, and I had a tin of Thai tea, and it kind of occurred to me that, oh, well, back in the day, all these punches were made with wine and tea and sugar and citrus, and so all that to say that this book is really good at kind of getting the creative juices flowing, just because it talks about what foods that pair well with others, and it's a lot of like unexpected pairings that are delicious, which again gets those creative juices flowing. So this is the Flavor Matrix. I'm going to butcher this name, but this is by James Briscione. I will link to all these books in some kind of document format, one way or another. We're going to link to all those. So definitely check that one out. This is also just a great book for cooking too. So get it for your bartender, get it for your cooking enthusiast friends and family. Check this one out. Lastly is Home Bar Basics. So unfortunately, this book is out of print. You can find it sometimes on eBay or some other sources. It's worth searching for. One thing that I really love about this book, or there's a few things, but one is that it's just a no frills recipe book. It's got all the classics and then some of the like modern classics, or what he calls not so basics. So great recipe book. Also, I love how small it is. So this is the Home Bar Basics by Dave Stolte. Check this one out. Hope that helps. Let me know if you have any questions. Lastly, I do just want to let you know that we have New Year's Eve coming up, and we're going to throw a big party down in the Speakeasy Room. You can check it out at eveintheeasy.com. I hope you're all enjoying your holidays. I'll see you in the next video.